afternoon, I hope, or evening, wherever you're listening to us today. Welcome to Sales Beast. Today we have a rock star joining us today, Andre Chin, close dear friend to us in the KWYP community, KW community, and has had so much success over the past couple of years. So we definitely want to tell you guys about his story and hear from him, get some insight onto how you can turn into a sales beast like him. So Andre, just to start off, why don't you tell us about your journey into real estate, maybe what your path was to get you here, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, Mike, and I appreciate you guys so much. And I started this journey about 11 years ago, and we were in the middle of a recession. No one thought real estate was the place to be. And in typical fashion, just because of who I am, if everyone's heading in one direction, I usually look for the unorthodox direction, and real estate at the time was it. So I was in the middle of getting licensed. I was working for a company that was predominantly US owned, and they laid me off. So I came into work one Friday, I got handed a box, I got handed a pink slip, and I got told that I no longer had a job. In the middle of a recession where no one's hiring. This is, 2000 and started 2009. We're knee deep in the recession. And so I found myself with one course to go to get my real estate license, no job, and not really sure what to do. So decided I was going to go full time into real estate. Got my license done pretty quickly in about 2 weeks, got registered, started in real estate, and then went on to get Rookie of the Year doing 28 transactions in my first year. Had no systems, no models, didn't know really what I was doing, just kind of winged it on natural talent and personality. Spent the next 2 to 3 years sort of floundering, trying to figure out, as most people do, what the path is or how to continuously generate leads. And then got into, I actually joined a team. So I became a lead listing specialist for another organization, and really decided to give up trying everything. We did 50 listings in 6 months, and we absolutely crushed it, just following their model, following the systems that they were using. And then I started to actually dream bigger and started to think, wow, I can really make a run at this real estate thing. Where could this go? And so I built my first org chart. So someone said to me once, build that Disney roadmap, build the Disney org chart of where you want your life to go. So I sat down one night and started doing that. It took me about 2 days to come up with this massive world that I'm in today. And I brought it to my current leader and said, hey, we should do this. We should really get going there. And I just don't think we were in alignment there. So about 5 years ago, we decided to get out of business together. We're still great friends. We still help each other quite a bit and communicate quite a bit. We just weren't headed on the same path. And I thought, I'm going to start a team, and I'm going to go chasing this massive organization, this massive world that I want to build. Because my why became very apparent to me in that time, that I wanted to help others achieve their goals. And the only way I could do that was by making my world bigger. So then I dug deep into that, started the team. And year one, we did 80 transactions, put us in the top 20 for groups within KW. Year two, we lost everyone. The entire team quit because we didn't have the right systems and models, and we weren't doing it right. And we still managed to pull out 100 deals that year. Year three, we grew again, and we got to 170 units. Sorry, that's wrong, 140 units. And then last year we did 170 units. And this year we're on pace for 200. So really strong growth, systems and models built through the MREA, keeping it simple. We don't do anything crazy that anyone's going to go, oh my God, these guys have the next pill. Really, it's hard work and dedication and following the systems and models, using the lead gen model, and consistently growing the business slowly.
That's awesome. So huge success in what sounds like a pretty short period of time. I know you're a busy guy and you've taken on a new role. What is your involvement with your team today, and how do you ensure that they're constantly growing and pushing themselves?
Yeah, so I took over our local market center here, so KWGTR. I became the operating partner earlier this year, and took over the market center. So we've got 170 agents in the market center. And you're right, my role is completely different with the team today. But I knew this was coming. And so when I started building this, I put things in place to allow me to step away from the business. So my role today with the team is more accountability, coaching, and leadership, and virtually no sales. I've done one deal this year for actually another realtor who needed to list the property here. He was from Toronto and just wanted me to co-list and put my name on it for him so he could get some clout to sell it. And that's worked really, really well. And what's great about that is by me stepping away from production, our agents are actually more efficient because they're getting more leads and they get me more in the capacity to coach them and guide them through all of that. And it was something that my coach said to me about a year ago. He said, what would happen if you gave all your energy to growing the people around you? What would that do for your businesses? And it's like rocket fuel right now.
100%. You don't know this, but I referred my brother-in-law to you guys, and you've already sold them a house. They're moved in. Found him the perfect house. And
that's amazing.
Such good care of him. He's a professional triathlete.
Oh, wow.
A house with a fully insulated garage to the back that he now calls his pain cave. He's bike set up in there, TVs. It's crazy.
Oh, that's amazing. You know what? That goes to show you how amazing these guys are. I had no idea. I'm assuming you would have connected with Steph, who's an absolute rock star. And she's kind of our local leader. We've got 3 locations. So we're in Cambridge, Kitchener-Waterloo, and we're in Hamilton. And that's the credit to the training, right? I mean, we train hard, we work hard, and these guys absolutely crush it.
I think that's one of the challenges a lot of agents face, myself included, is trusting the people on your team to do as good of a job or better job than you do yourself. How do you develop that trust with your agent and put yourself?
We develop the system. So if your systems are tight, then the agent has less opportunity to mess it up. So what I do is I trust in the systems and models that we've built that hold the agents accountable to the activities they need to do. But then also, one of the things when I started this was to create a client experience that was really great for our clients. And so we preach our mission over and over and over again, which is to deliver a wow experience for our clients. And so when the systems are built in the right way and the training modules are there, and then the agents buy into the vision and where you're taking it, then the trust is actually just natural because you know that they're following protocol and they're doing everything that's necessary. And that was really one of the things I learned being with a mega team versus being on my own, was just how systematized they were to everything they did, that it made it almost dummy proof. Kind of to your point with I think you said your brother-in-law, we do the needs analysis. We start there. We make it about the client as opposed to what we want to do, which is get another sale. It's not about that. It's about the client and the client's needs. And when you're very clear about that, it's really easy to purposefully find them homes or sell their homes for top dollar when you understand what the motivation is behind it.
Yeah. I think I've heard this secondhand, but I know that particular transaction happened very fast. And I think the reason was that she took the time up front to form a really, really, really deep understanding of what it was they were actually looking for.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm not perfect, right? I mean, what I've had to do is surround myself with leaders that are at times better than me and are at times coachable. And by having these leaders around me, they're actually the ones that push me away and force me to trust in them because of their strength in the processes. So they've bought into the systems and the vision so much so that they push back on me. So now when I try to get involved and I try to ask questions, they push me back to the numbers and say, your job isn't this anymore. Your job is growing the business and coaching and training and talking to talent. So why are you talking to me about a transaction? And that's been the change, I think, in the last 8 months that's allowed me to take on the new role.
And that's obviously a very hard thing coming from being in the business, being that point person for so long and having to make that move. Right?
It is hard. It is hard at all times, Anna. I feel as though I'm missing something. Like it's constantly, and so the way we tackle that is with our huddles, with our communication, with Slack, Asana. We talk constantly. I mean, and I know you and Sam have had a lot of conversations. Sam's sort of the central point of the entire organization. And so with everything flowing through her, and then our leadership team with Steph, Heather, and Kristen, all the information is there. And so I talk to those people every single day. And if you remember Gary Keller's story, he found his top 5 hire. And so once you have your 5 and you keep close to your 5, all the information and data you need to trust is there.
Yeah, and an organization, whether it's small or big, I think that's hugely important so that you're not overwhelming yourself with all different points of communication. That's something that we've established. And I think any leader should establish, have your 5-point people and let them manage others and let them find success through others, right?
And you have to let the people around you fail, and you have to let them be open to that, and you have to let go. And you know, I remember sitting, well, Anna, we were on stage. I know you and Sam were on stage, and I was on stage for the Growth Summit that we had last year. And that was one of the things that I was struggling with. And I remember making that announcement at the Growth Summit that I was going to let go and to trust in my people. And they were all there to hear that. And so they just hold me accountable to what I said I was going to do.
Yeah, I love that. Now, I want to backtrack just a little bit to kind of dive a little bit deeper into your business, first of all. So for you, at the beginning, when you were a solo agent, even on a team, what were your primary lead gen sources then? And what does it look like for your team now? Where are you getting most of your business?
So when I started, my 2 primaries were cold calling and database. I came out of the restaurant industry. I spent a lot of time there prior to going in the corporate world. And so I leaned heavily into my gift of gab and being able to talk to people and running into people constantly. So the first few years, I relied heavily on my database, talking to people, creating that relationship and getting into rapport. And then when I found gaps, I would jump on the phones and just start making cold calls and door knocking. Very, very old school. Today, it's the exact same. We haven't changed anything. 67% of our business comes from our database and our sphere. And the next 20% comes from cold calling, and then the rest gets filled in with social media and inbound leads and that sort of stuff. So that's probably the only thing we've added. And that's a cost, right? I mean, when I first started, I didn't have money to do that. So I just went old school. I picked up the phone and I just kept asking people if they wanted to buy or sell or invest in real estate until they said yes.
So is that cold calling, door knocking, database, that's something all your agents focused on today?
Yeah, we're still very prospecting based, marketing enhanced. We are using command, and we are supplementing with a heavy amount of Facebook leads as well. However, our primary is door knocking and cold calling.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this, but I'm on a call with quite a few of your guys every morning at 7:30.
I did hear that. Yeah,
that is useless. Door knocking, cold calling, if you don't know how to properly handle those leads when they come in. And that's something we're working on every day.
And absolutely. And thank you so much. I've been meaning to reach out, and I do apologize, but thank you for taking that time and helping our guys. And that's the gift of this industry, is that we all help each other. And you're right, without scripting. I mean, I've been scripting every morning for the last 10 years. It just looks a little differently now, but I'm still making cold calls and door knocking, so to speak, but I go visit agents. Before COVID, I was able to pop into open houses and meet agents, as my role tends to be more on the recruiting side now than it is on the sales side, but the activities haven't changed. I'm still on the phone every single day. Every single morning, I do lead gen for agents.
That's amazing.
Go ahead, Mike, if you have a question.
Okay. One thing I'd like to talk to you about, I know we all have our different routines, and I know you are quite regimented based on everything I've heard you say at the Growth Summit and other times I've heard you speak. What does your day look like? When do you wake up? What's the routine look like before you get on the phone and start lead genning every morning?
So pre-COVID, and I say pre-COVID because COVID has sort of allowed, with working from home as much as we were at the start, I obviously had a little more time in my schedule. I get up at 5 a.m., gym, workout, meditate. I perform a miracle morning. to the best of my abilities. I mean, I've got kids in the home, so sometimes I don't always get through everything. I'm at the office most days by 8 a.m. It's when I like to start my day before anyone else comes into the office. But it's, you know, up at 5, out of the gym by 6, meditating, journaling until 6:30, and then the last half an hour I read. Sometimes I'll do a bit of yoga if I still got a little energy left in me, and then between 7 and 8, I sort of make breakfast, hang out with my kids, and then make sure I'm in the office for 8 a.m. every morning. From there, 8 to 9 is sort of a mix of scripting, role play, catching up with the team, checking on emails, kind of getting all the crap out of the way. And then 9 a.m. we shut our doors, and from 9 to 12 it's lead gen time, and from 12 on it's appointments. So 12 to 1 lunch, 1 to 2 sort of social media, catching up on some emails, that sort of stuff, and then from there it's appointments. And it looks like that pretty well every single day.
By pouring, sorry, I just want to kind of butt in there a little bit, but
yeah, for sure.
So one thing I see common throughout all of the big leaders that we surround ourselves with, through very successful people, is that they're always pouring into themselves first before they're pouring into others. To follow up with that, Andre, what's your vision for your people? What's your vision for your organization in the next few years? What does that look like?
Yeah, so it's gotten bigger, and to just repeat that comment, Anna, Danica Koska used to always say to me when I coached with her, Andre, you can't give what you don't have. And so the reason that us as leaders always start by pouring into ourselves is we can't pour into others if we don't have anything left in the tank. So it starts with self-care first, and it starts with making sure you've got what you need to. When it comes to the vision of the organizations, as far as market centers go, we'll have 5 market centers launched in the next 2 years, which obviously is going to create massive opportunity in the team leader role, investors role, et cetera, which, you know, I'm always open to chatting with anyone that's looking for an opportunity. When it comes to our investment side of stuff, we'll be over 200 doors in investments in the next 2 years. When it comes to the team, our plan is to be in 6 locations in the next 2 years, and we're chasing, which I know you guys are chasing as well. We're chasing the 1,000 unit mark, and we think we can get it done in the next 2 to 3 years.
That's huge. Big goals, Andre.
Go big or go home, right? I mean,
exactly.
We kind of looked at it. You know, for me, one of the beautiful things about KW and really this industry is there are people that are bigger than us at all times. And I'm a very competitive person. And so, you know, we were all a family reunion, and we heard about the big merger with Suarez's group and Kinney's group, and they're now going to do 5,000 units a year. That got me so excited, because I've always said, who's going to be the first to get to 5,000? And now we know who that is. And now there's a model and a roadmap to get to 5,000. So 1,000 now seems small to me. And we're actually trying to update our goals to go, okay, how long is it going to take us to get to 5,000? And that's where we're stretching it and realizing that the world that we're going to build is where we are today is a pebble in the massive lake that we're going to create.
I heard Gary Keller at one point say, so at some point in the future, and he named a time, which I don't remember, there will be teams that are larger than KW is today. And I think you could say the same thing within your business. I think Sandy could say the same thing within his business. There will be teams within each of your ecosystems that are bigger than your whole organization is today. And yeah, I have to thank you for that. Thank Sandy for that. Because as someone that works with you guys, for you guys, that's so inspiring. You know, I'll never.
Well, it's that realization, right? And I mean, I hear you say that, and I remember that. I think 3 family reunions ago, might have been 4, that he first said that, and it really inspired me at that time. And I was looking at some of those bigger players, and Sandy and I have known each other for our entire time in real estate. And I remember having some of those conversations with Sandy very early on, like sort of dreaming together and then sitting in bold going, you know, what did you write down for where you're going to be in 5 years in bold, and kind of looking at each other going, this is absolutely insane to think this way. And then we just went and did it. And, you know, I know there's someone that's going to come into my organization that's going to take this bigger than I could ever have dreamed of. And I'm open to that. And I say that to people all the time. Like, I'm waiting for that person that wants to retire me. And I'm not scared of it, because there are bigger thinkers that are coming up. And like Gary always said, you know, he built us the highway for us to put the vehicles on. Sandy and I are sort of doing the same thing, is we're building new highways that allow everyone within our organization to go wherever it is they want to go. And so we're constantly looking for those talented people that want to do incredible things.
Yeah, I think that mentality, it gives you such a competitive advantage over some of your competitors, because let's be honest, as realtors, there's always that greener pastures mentality. I can go work my own, keep all my commission. But when the leader is moving that quickly and creating that much opportunity for their people, greener pastures they're not green. The grass is brown. Like when I think about leaving Sandy.
Well, you know, I had to join a team to get that perspective as well, right? I always thought that, right? I can do it on my own. And I joined, and I say that to people, not because I'm out on my own now. I would have never left had our alignment been in place. If we were going in the same direction, I would probably still be there today. And this organization that I've created would have probably been twice the size of that individual, because they were already there. They just weren't ready for that vision and where we wanted to go. And so I look at it the same way now, where I go, who's that person that's going to come in? And when I say 1,000 transactions, they laugh and say, why aren't we doing 10,000? And who's that person that's going to say, you know, hey, get out of the way, old man. let's see where we can take this thing and really grow. And then it becomes my job to support that vision for that person. And it's a mindset, right? It's anyone that's not thinking that way, I think, comes from scarcity, because they're worried about what they're going to lose. Whereas, you know, I came from nothing. I mean, you know, came from a third world country. I was born in Jamaica. We came to Canada 23 or 24 years ago. We had nothing, right? So that doesn't scare me. I don't come from scarcity. I'm okay with nothing. And I think because of my why and because I've set out to create opportunities for others, you have to be okay with going there.
Do you want to maybe talk about the Golden Handoff? I don't know if you want to talk about that. I know you've kind of been leading the conversation in that way. So for you to find that person that's going to retire you, what kind of conversation would that look like? And how would someone go about doing that, whether it's to you or to somebody else? I think that's a huge topic of conversation nowadays. And if anything, you would be one of the best people to talk about it.
Yeah, and we've had a couple of agents that we've helped with the Golden Handoff already. You know, when it comes to doing that, it has to be a win-win. That's the first thing, right? I mean, it can't be, I want what you have, so I'm gonna kick you out. I'm gonna take it. And anyone that we've helped, we've created a path for them for as long as really it's their needs, right? I mean, if someone was to take over our organization today, they'd have to understand that, you know, I'm under 40. I've got a lot of fight left in me. I'm not going anywhere for now. So it'd have to be a much longer stretch to get me out, or create a financial goal that says, you know, here's everything that I would need to take care of my family, and here's where we're going to take you forward. But it has to be that win-win. And when it comes to the Golden Handoff, I think people think it's about, I'm just going to buy this person out and let them go. That's actually where Golden Handoffs fail. What's important in a Golden Handoff is you're truly creating a new partnership. And that partnership is in alignment with the goals of the organization. It's in alignment with the vision of the leaders. And there's a clear path on how we're going to get there, and then how we're going to make everyone happy. And so in all the cases that we've approached people on the Golden Handoff, it's been exactly that. You know, where do you want to go with your life? What are your personal goals? What do you want that to look like? You know, the agent we're currently talking to, he wants to be retired and actually wants to be an expansionist in a much warmer climate. COVID's kind of put a stop to that, but he wants to be in a much warmer climate and kind of put his feet up while running an expansion location in that climate in the US. And so we've been going at this conversation for quite a long time, because it has to be right. And this person already has a massive business here. And so it'd be a merger to start, working together congruently, and then going into expansion together, building that out together, and then slowly transitioning. It'd probably be a 7 to 8 year plan to do that. So if someone wanted to do that with me, I'd say get in to the organization. Let's start building the plan. Let's put the roadmap together. Let's create that plan, and then let's just go execute. And as long as I get out of it what I want, I'm happy to let go and move on.
Awesome. So we'll link the Golden Handoff below too, just for anyone that doesn't know what that is, so that they can actually read the book and dive deeper into that. You can reach out to us for more information, but thank you for giving us a brief summary around that. That's great.
Yeah, no worries. Happy to.
So I know
I just have a question about that before we move on. So
yeah.
Going into business with someone like that, it probably presents a ton of opportunities, a lot of things when you start working with a different team that you could learn, but I imagine a lot of challenges because you've been in business for a long time. You have your way of doing things. That way of doing things have made you successful. What does that look like? Are you making compromises for this other group and changing?
No, where we make compromises, we don't compromise our systems and our models. Part of the reason we're in the conversation is because our systems and models are better. If they weren't, we would adapt to certain things that work for them. But really, people aren't loyal. People work with who they know and like. That's the first part. People come back because of the systems and models. And so because we know that we're 65% plus in repeat and referral clients, we know that our systems and models work. People want to come back and work with us. So all our people come back. So when we looked at that and looked at this organization, they're always fishing for new business. They don't have a lot of repeat and referral. So we know our systems are just better. And so really it's engaging their database at a very, very high level. And that's the biggest thing. Everything else is fluff. So if you engage the database really well, you keep in contact with that former leader, you keep them plugged into the systems, you do things like buying out their cell phones and making sure you keep the phone numbers and keep in contact with them. You have them engaging the database through video and text messages and stuff like that. Then all the other systems are, I don't want to say utilitarian, but in a sense, right? They get the job done. And as long as the transaction and the client experience are top notch, then we don't have to change anything. They need to modify to how we do things.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Glad you asked. That's also, but before we move on, Anna, that's also for anyone listening, that is the biggest opportunity right now in real estate. We are venturing into a tech world. COVID is making sure of that. We're venturing into a world that the over 50 is just not going to be comfortable with. They're going to start to look out for where they need to go. Yes. And Gary's been predicting this for years, but we're going to see the biggest shift in real estate happen in the next 5 years in wealth from the baby boomers down to the under 40s. And so we know that's coming. We know the agent mix is changing. And we know that there's a massive gap between anyone that's under 40 and between 40 and 60, where there's no agents really in that middle right now. And so a lot of businesses are going to shift, and there's a lot of people that are tired, especially after COVID. So if you're on the call and looking to kickstart your business or get massively productive quickly, talk to your older agents, talk to those agents that are just done, and get in a dialogue with them and start, call it a retirement plan, call it something. I mean, most realtors go on, their businesses just die and they get nothing from it. So picture it as a residual income plan. Let them know you're there to help. Let them know you're there to create their legacy or help them with their legacy, and transition them to where they want to go without having to lose their business if their kids aren't in it or they don't have a partner. The biggest opportunity in real estate right now.
So 2 things around that. The average age of a realtor in Ontario is 52 years old. So obviously there's a huge opportunity there. And in hearing about your why and it being, helping others achieve their goals, well, do that. Go help others achieve their goals. And in real estate, a lot of the times people say, realtors don't retire. Well, why not? Why can't that be the case? Why can't we help someone retire and have a successful end years of their life or whatever, while also continuing their business?
Well, what we know is the database is a depreciable asset if you're not feeding it and growing it and constantly working it. And as you get older in the business, the first thing that you stop doing is feeding and working your database because you're tired and you don't want to deal with it. And to that point, realtors don't retire is exactly true. Well, what if they could retire? What if they had a plan that they could see 25% on every single deal, but because they're in a better system, their database is actually going to do more business than the 10 deals they're used to. Now their database does 40 deals, and all of a sudden they're making exactly what they make passively for the next 5 years while they retire. Anyone would take that deal if they're at the end of their rope versus going to still show houses. They can actually go and live their lives. And that's the conversation we're having. And the more and more that this virtual world comes into play, we see other companies heading virtual. It's now tech is the big thing. These guys don't want to do that. And Anna, you know, it's funny, you say the average age of realtors is 52. That number has come down significantly. 3 years ago, the average age of realtors was 64. So in the last 3 to 4 years, the next generation has started getting their license, and that's bringing that average way down. But all those realtors are still there. And when I started, the average was even higher. So as we continue, that number is coming down because those agents are starting to leave the business, and there is massive opportunity to work with those people. Especially those realtors that are saying, oh yeah, you know, I sold mom a house, then I sold an aunt a house, and then I sold the kids the house. Well, now you're going to get the kids, and then you're going to get the retirement with mom and dad. And so you're getting a lot of business for a very inexpensive cost, in my opinion.
Thanks for that, Andre.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We already kind of dived into your journey a little bit and your backstory, but what are some of the things that you credit to your success? If you could look back and think of the big pivot points in your life, what would be a defining moment for you where there was like a light bulb going off in your brain?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple. You know, you always hear about the failures, or at least some people want to ask. Most people don't know about it. The first big one that happened would have been, I say year 2 in the industry, where I had my worst year ever in the business. So I didn't follow up year 1, you know, knocked it out of the park. Year 2, I didn't know what I was doing. I spent all my money, I partied, I lived life, I had a great time, and I did 4 deals and had to basically get rid of every personal asset, sleep on a buddy's couch, and spend time at my mom's on the weekend. So practically homeless. When I wasn't sleeping on his couch or his floor, I was sleeping in my car. And that was the first thing that really woke me up to putting a plan together. I realized that I had nothing, and our team leader at the time sat me down and said, you know, give me 6 months, don't argue, and I'll get you back on your feet. And the plan was simple: go make 20 to 40 contacts every day. No excuses. And so that was the first big light bulb that, you know, if you teach agents how to fish first, they'll always be able to survive in whatever market, whatever economy we're in. Our agents will always be able to. So that was the first one. Mm-hmm. The second big one came when I started really on the team journey and realizing that I needed to stop trying to recreate the wheel. There's models and systems. There's agents like Sandy, myself, you know, the Knightons of this world, and a lot of the people you're going to have on this podcast that are doing incredible things. So stop trying to think we know it all, and just plug in and ask questions and learn, because leaders want to help other people. And I've seen that in both of you guys as well, where, you know, you guys are both leadership within your organization, and you now are doing exactly that same thing, where someone picks up the phone and calls and says, hey, I'm struggling, can someone help? You might not get it in that minute, but you're certainly going to get the help. And so I realized that I needed to stop thinking I was better than everyone else, essentially taking my ego out of it, and plug in and listening to others that are better than me and more successful than me. And that was probably the single most thing that changed my trajectory. Guys like Sandy, you know, Dylan, Knighton, Ben Kinney. I mean, you know, people say, you know, you can't call these guys. I've been on phone calls with Ben and Chris and all these guys, and, you know, when they drop knowledge on you, write it down and just go do it. We know that top performers implement faster than everyone else does. So don't hum and haw, don't overthink it, implement it, test it, hold the numbers accountable. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, pivot out of it quickly.
I think that's the most important thing when it comes to being successful in business. We're so lucky to work with KW. Like you said earlier, there are always people that are doing things at a higher level than you.
Absolutely. Well, and in every company, right? I mean, KW, I've got friends in other companies. I've got friends now pretty well across continental US and now stretching into other areas of the world where there's so much knowledge and resource out there. Take your ego out of it, right? Take your damn ego out and just plug in, ask questions, listen, and stop thinking it has to be you. You're both great examples of that for Sandy, and getting to know you guys over the last few years has shown me that, right? I mean, we all help each other, and Anna, I know I've had to reach out to you at times, and Mike, I know you're helping with our guys. We all get there. You know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, and take people with you, and then plug into others. And that was my biggest aha that I had to learn, just because I was a little bit of an egotistical person, and I thought I knew it all and I could do it all. And when I stopped that, is when I started seeing true growth.
Mm-hmm. Adding to that too, go ahead, Mike.
Sorry. I find my whole life I've been discouraged from copying. Like in university, you copy someone else's test, you get in trouble. You plagiarize an article, you get in trouble. But now that I'm in the real world and I'm in this business, that's all I do. I plagiarize what other people do. I steal someone's idea and implement it myself. And that's
R&D, right? Rip off and duplicate departments. We all have one.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to say pretty much exactly the same thing. I feel like when I started, I was very much trying to reach out to the big teams, see what they were doing, implementing it for myself, testing it, seeing what worked. And now where we have a solid base and we have our systems, people come out to us and say, well, how are you doing that? How are you doing that? And I'm like, honestly, I didn't make this. So like no credit to me. Like go talk to those people if you want more information. This is just what we've implemented and it's worked for us. And I'm fine to say that because I credit those people so heavily on our success. So why wouldn't I give them praises, you know?
Well, and that's absolutely it, Anna. You're right. And, you know, you're both right. I mean, Mike, you mentioned school, right? To tell us don't look at other people's, have original ideas. And I get the foundational part of that. And then you get into the real world and you go, stop recreating the wheel. Right. We don't need to, there's more than enough business for all of us. And that's one of the beautiful things. Like, I mean, Sandy and I talk at least once a week on business ideas, and it's not competition because we both grow in those conversations. There's over 100,000 units that get sold in Southwestern Ontario every year. I don't need all 100,000, right? Right now I'm chasing 1,000, 1% of everything that happens in Southwestern Ontario I'm trying to capture. That leaves 99% for everybody else. There is no competition.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
Did you have any other follow-up questions, Mike?
No, I'm thinking about what you're saying, and like we rip off and repeat, and we, like Anna mentioned, we have these teams coming to us asking how we're doing things, and I often have people coming to me asking, Mike, how do you sell X number of houses a year? That's fantastic. And the response I have for them is always very underwhelming. Like it's literally just what's in that red book. That's it. I think they're
red book.
That I'm a unicorn and doing something special, but I'm not at all.
Well, you know, it's funny. Everyone chases being the best in the room, and we all do that. I chase being the best in the room until I'm the lowest producer in the room. So as soon as I get close to the top of anything that I do, I pivot into, okay, now I'm the worst again. And I surround myself with people that are way far superior than me so that I'm constantly leveling up. And that's part of that ego conversation where if you just want to be the best, you'll get there. That's easy. Growth from there, staying there, and then getting to the next level is where it becomes complicated. And so I've just adapted that mentality that at all times, I want to be the idiot in the room. I want to be the one going, oh my God, let me get my notebook and let me take 100 notes here because they're better than me. And as long as you continue to live your life that way, you're only going to go up. And when it comes to sales, sales is easy. Let's call it what it is, right? I mean, that's why it's underwhelming. Like when you have these conversations with people is if the systems and models are built properly. What's hard is discipline. And I say that to my guys all the time. It's not even motivation. It's discipline that's hard. And discipline is when you don't want to do it. Discipline is going for that run, that 5K, that 10K, when, you're exhausted. You just had a 12-hour workday, but you know that if you don't do that run, you're not going to hit your fitness goals. Discipline is being on the phones like you have, Mike, when you started for 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day, 8 hours a day, when everybody else is sitting on a patio for lunch for 3 hours, having the time of their life, and you're staring outside like I'm doing right now, watching people go by, and I've got my headset on and I'm working through it, right? That's what makes the difference in high performers, is having the habits and the discipline to do it when it's the hardest. Because we all have those easy times where you're just rocking it, and then it gets tough, and the first thing you want to do is bail and find the next thing. And I hear it in agents all the time. What's the secret? What's the this? What's the that? There is no secret. What it is we're just more disciplined than you, and we just implement faster than you. And that's it.
One thing I keep thinking about this, so me and Anna, we took career visioning together, and David Brousseau, a lot of what he said meant a lot to me, but there's one thing, he would always say, discipline or disappointment. Choose discipline, and that's going to lead to, so in life you can have ands or ors. So ors, you have to make choices. I can do this or this. You live in a world of ands, I think.
It's non-negotiable. We do it and we do what's next, right? And it never changes. And you know, when I talk to an agent who's struggling, when I talk to even myself, right, I just go back to being disciplined, right? Right now, the conversation in everywhere is just go back to basics, go back to fundamentals, go back to what got you to where you were going, because we're in the toughest part. We're in the next version of a Great Depression. Like, this stuff's going to be in history books. Our grandkids are going to read about this someday in school, probably virtually, you know, in a VR world. So put your big boy pants on, get your overalls on, and get to work, and stop looking for secret formulas, because they don't exist. Talk to more people, get to more doors, whatever it is you have to do, kick it old school. And if you don't want to do those things, then call your friends and family. Like, you know, I had to explain this to an agent the other day, Mike, and Anna, where, you know, think of a pizza store. We've all seen them. We see them open up. We try the pizza and we go, oh my God, this pizza is incredible. 6 months goes by and said pizza store is closed. And everyone goes, I wonder why. Well, at the end of the day, lead generation. That's what they didn't do, right? They didn't run a promo. They didn't get their name out. They didn't get enough pizza sold. They didn't do lead generation. And then you see that old school pizza place that's been around for 20, 30, 40 years. We all know them. You know, the pizza's okay. It's not great, but everyone knows them because they do such a good job at lead generation, whether that's through word of mouth or, you know, pizza slices or positioning next to high schools or whatever it is that they've done. At the end of the day, it's a version of lead generation that people just haven't realized yet. And I don't care the business, your dentist is going to call you and say, hey, it's 6 months, you need a checkup. Lead gen. You know, your doctor's going to call you, hey, you haven't had a physical in 2 years, we need to get you in. Lead gen, because all those things lead to paychecks at the end of the day for all these businesses, and they're all lead gen. So figure out what you're going to do and generate enough leads to fund the life that you want to have, period.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
That's one of those mic drop moments.
It's so cool that you've now transitioned to a new role, OP. But your day still looks pretty much exactly the same as it did, not even as a team leader, but as an agent. Like, that's what my day looks like. You're just targeting different people than I am.
It's still just the number one thing every single day is lead gen, right? Yeah. I mean, there's a running joke within Maps and KW that, you know, how long is it going to take Gary Keller to draw the triangle? Like, how long? And I think the record right now is like 20 seconds. Gary gets on stage, that whiteboard's right next to him, and the first thing he does is boom, he hits you with the triangle, and right at the bottom he writes leads every single time. And he goes back to that every single time. It doesn't matter what business, what industry, what you're trying to do. If you don't have enough leads to fund it, you're gonna fail. And agents get caught up in this thing where the flash and the BMWs and the this and the that and everything else, and they forget about lead gen, and then they wonder why they're broke and they got to go to another industry and they can't figure it out, and why, you know, the new kid coming in is just kicking their ass. Well, that new person, it's not always a kid, but that new person is just disciplined enough to put their headset on, to network every night, to do social media at a very high level. There's 8 different pillars that you can go to. Doesn't matter which one it is, just be the best at it, or at least chase being the best at it at all times. I've heard, Experience Real Estate, they're good friends in the US, and they did it all on open houses. And people say open houses don't work. Well, they work when you do one every single day, 7 days a week, and you commit to door knocking and cold calling around them and delivering flyers and inviting the neighbors and getting a rapport. Well, they don't work if you just show up, stick a sign on the lawn. So pick the strategy that you're going to focus on, figure out who the best is at doing what you want to do, figure out how they're doing it, get in a dialogue, learn, talk to them, and then do it at that level if you want that success.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andre, for all your input. Tons of value in this call so far.
Happy to help.
One of the questions that we ask all of our guests, or I guess this is the question we ask everyone, who do you know that we should have on this podcast?
Right now, I would be talking to Ibrahim with Affinity Group. He's in our local market here. He's an up and comer. He started building his team 2 years ago. Maybe he's coming up on his 3rd year, and Ibrahim is now in the top 15 in KW. They just crossed over 100 units. They're on pace to get over 200. And he's very, very much the similar conversations, but he is a monster at converting leads right now. And his guys are well scripted. They're working hard, and they're chasing that #1 spot in Canada. And I believe that if we don't get our stuff together, Anna, these guys are going to pass us quickly.
Oh no.
They're pushing hard. And I got no problem. And it's now a conversation I'm having when we talk about R&D departments, where I'm picking his brain going, hey, I see you're converting, he's converting Facebook leads at one of the best I've ever seen. And I'm trying to figure out how they're doing that. I know you guys just stepped up your game on your Facebook leads as well. And I've been bugging Sandy and getting some details there. And that's what it's all about. But I definitely reach out to Ibrahim, and he would definitely be a good fit for a sales beast.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Andre. Do you have any last thoughts or questions, Mike?
I think that's everything. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the time.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me. And if anyone hasn't yet, one of the things I definitely recommend doing is grabbing the book, The Tribe of Millionaires. I read it at the start of this year. I've read it 3 times this year. It's a phenomenal read. It talks about who you surround yourself with matters. Anna, Mike, we've both talked about that, about who's in our tribe, who's around us. If you haven't read that book yet, get it on your roster and really start looking at the people that are around you that you give most of your time to. If you can have $40,000 conversations, if that's who you want to surround yourself with, or you can start having $1 million conversations. So surround yourself with people that are better than you.
Funny you say that. So after Growth Summit, I called Anna to tell her we should start this podcast. One of the reasons, the guy that wrote that book, I read it a while back, Pat Hyben, and he's got a big real estate podcast. So that might be one of the only reasons you're sitting in front of us today, is that book.
There you go. Comes back around full circle. That's a great story, Mike.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. And, let me know. I'll come back anytime.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.